Welcome back to the PCOS Party Podcast. My name is Georgie Ricks and I am your host. And today I am so excited because I have a very special guest for the first episode of the first series. And this lady holds a special place in my heart, as she was actually one of my very first clients at its PCOS Party. I want to introduce you guys all to Emaan Abbass.
Hi.
This is the founder of a company called Ketish, and she is a female health advocate, a very special lady in the Dubai space, empowering women and sharing sort of her story and her knowledge and education all over Dubai. So, Emaan, thank you so much for joining us.
Thank you for having me. I'm so excited for you.
Oh my God,
This
thank
is
you.
great. And I'm so excited to be here, obviously. But this is amazing. You're like built for this.
I know, honestly, it's a dream come true, I guess. I've always wanted to start a podcast series, and actually thank you so much to the Myco Studios for taking me on board and filming us here. So yeah, babe, like, how you doing?
I'm doing all right. I mean, it's been, a crazy 3 years since we first met and started working together, but I'm surviving.
Yeah, I know, it is mad, actually. So Emaan basically came to me while she was starting her business. I had just started mine, and safe to say it was sort of, for me, it was like, when you first start a business, you don't really know what you're doing, to be honest, you know? Yeah. So yeah, when I started my business, Emaan was amazing. She was one of my first clients, reached out to me because she was struggling so much with PCOS, which she can obviously talk to you about a bit more. But she also was starting her business, which we both know is the biggest stress ever. And you were just, I think you just had way too much on board, right? To really give yourself and invest in your health and actually put yourself first, because, business was coming first, right?
Right.
So and did that have that must have had a real big toll on your PCOS and on your health in general.
Right. And I think feminine health obviously has always been something that is very important to me. I'm really passionate about the topic. The reason why I wanted to start my brand Ketish, it's feminine and sexual wellness brand, is because of my own history with my feminine health. In my early 20s, I had cervical cancer. I also have struggled with PCOS and hormone imbalance throughout my 20s, now 30s, which I'm still working on. But part of the reason why I wanted to start my brand is because there is such a lack of education around the topics and all topics. I mean, I remember growing up, all we learned about was, pregnancy and the worst possible things that could happen to you if you were intimate with someone, where there's so much more when it comes to feminine health. And I think hormones are a huge part of that. And obviously, I remember sharing with you when I came to you at first, it's something that I've always struggled with, but never knew how to address it. And I think when we first started working together, obviously I wasn't really in a space. I was stressed. I was working on this business. But now as I've built this business and this brand, I realized if I'm encouraging my community, my followers, my clients to prioritize their feminine health, then I need to do the same. And I need to work on having more balance or educating myself to be able to make those changes. And I finally feel like I'm at a stage where I'm doing it.
You're doing it. No, for sure. And actually, I think it's, even for me, right? I'm a coach, I'm a nutritionist, whatever, but I struggle as well. It's so hard to get the balance right, which I constantly preach and talk about, but sometimes I don't get it right. Work takes over. And especially when you are an entrepreneur and you're doing businesses like we are, it doesn't really feel like stress because it's good stress because you love it, right? I thrive on it. I thrive helping and putting my energy into everyone else and, trying to just work on all avenues of the business. But actually that can have a massive toll on your health as well. And it did actually personally for me last year.
Right.
I was so super stressed and actually lost my cycles for a few months. And that's something I worked so hard to get back.
Right.
And I helped so many other women do that, and I put all my energy into it. But yeah, like it's tough. I think the adulting and business and life is tough, right? But really actually putting yourself first and realizing when you are sort of going off balance and then stripping it back, I think is so important. You have to listen to your body and you do have to prioritize your health because we've only got our bodies to look after, right? We've only got our bodies to look after us for the rest of our lives.
I think that's why the work you're doing is so important because, we can get into my personal journey and like what exactly I've been through with my PCOS, but I think what I love most about what you're building is you make it very relatable and you make it easy for women to understand the changes that they need to make or ways that they can make easy switches to still fit within their lifestyle. You pride yourself on like, it's a PCOS party. I could still have my Prosecco.
It's a party for a reason.
I could still have my Prosecco, but I also, maybe I need to not have as much cheese while I'm drinking the Prosecco. You know what I mean?
You know what though? Just really funny. My brother told me the other day that actually you're meant to have cheese before you go out because it helps the hangover. Huh. Yeah.
The more you learn.
Exactly. So I haven't tried it yet, but next time you go out, girls, like actually have some cheddar or something and see if you, it's the quantity, right? It's not really the cheese.
Right.
But yeah, you're right. Like, and I think the world that we live in as well, there is so much conflicting, misleading, incorrect information, social media, Google. Google, that's just the worst, right? You Google one thing and you basically think you're going to die. So, it's nice for me to break it down and actually make females realize that it doesn't have to be overcomplicated. It can just be little changes, like even just like steps,
Right.
Go for a walk every day. Honestly, that's going to change you mentally and it's going to help, with lots of other goals as well.
Right.
But I think we, again, put so much stress and pressure on ourselves thinking, right, it's Monday, I'm going to go and do 7 gym classes and I'm only going to eat salads and I'm going to do this, that, and the other. And like, that's when it's not sustainable and when it's not, also enjoyable, right? Because you're going to be bored and you're just going to get fed up. You're not going to see results. And then you're going to be like, okay, back to my old ways.
Right. It's not sustainable at all.
No. So yeah, it is finding that balance. It's making the small changes and it really does. It's the consistency, it's actually sticking to the little changes.
Right.
And then
that big changes.
That make big changes. Exactly. So yeah, where are you at sort of at the moment then with PCOS, with health?
Right. So PCOS, I think, is something that's always been a part of my life. I just never knew that I had PCOS. I remember even dating back to like when I first started my periods, I was always a late bloomer. I think all my friends were getting their periods and I was just sitting there waiting for mine to show up. I got my first period, I think I was 15.
Okay.
And I got it and then I didn't get it again for months later, like 6 months later.
Yeah.
So I always knew, and they were always irregular and off. So I always knew that I was off balance, but I didn't know what that meant.
Of course. Because there's no education, right? It wasn't much at all.
Zero education.
No.
I just thought like, oh, this is a part of like who I am. I'm a late bloomer,
Yeah.
About 2 years later, I decided to get on birth control. I sought the birth control because I was sexually active and I wanted to be safe. I did not know what that meant in terms of like my health or side effects or, how long should I have been on it and what type of birth control was best. Horrific. And so, since I was 16, 17 years old, I've been on either the pill, Depo, the ring. I've tried it. Tried it all. Different types of birth control.
I hate sister. Yeah, I had the implant, I had the injection, I had obviously pills consistently. So I feel you, I get you. But what is so scary, and this I think is now one of my biggest messages that I'm really trying to get out there is we were not told any of the dangers when we were younger.
Right.
We were literally just told age 16, pop this pill, you can just go and, not have to worry about sex. You don't have to bleed. And we're all like, yeah, this is so great. Like, never have to bleed. Like, don't have to worry about it,
Right.
But you're not told at all, actually, the struggles that you might now get, later in life that we're all now dealing with massively. And actually how much it affects you while you're on it as well.
Right.
So like when you were, I guess, so where you're at now, you still on it, coming off?
So I've tried to get off birth control 2 times previously. Once when I was 30, and then again a couple of years ago, like when I came to see you about 3 years ago. And both times I got off birth control, my body went nuts. I gained a ton of weight.
Yeah.
I saw all the side effects: weight gain, missed periods. I wouldn't say irregular hair growth, but definitely hair fallout and then hair growth.
Yeah.
Psoriasis, like horrible
Everything
side
comes back
effects.
with a vengeance.
Right. And I wasn't educated on, transitioning off birth control. And obviously through working with you, through educating myself, through learning more via the brand that I created and different experts that I've spoken to, I realized, like, if you want to get off birth control, especially being on birth control for 20 odd years, it's a transition, and there's things that you need to do before even getting off the pill that you need to incorporate into your life. So recently I actually decided I want to get off the pill for good. And a part of that is, I'm terrified.
I'm really proud of you. Terrified, but proud of you.
But I'm excited. A part of the reason is because I'm 36.
Yeah.
I would love to have children someday.
Of course.
And so freezing my eggs is very much top of mind. And in order to do that, I need to be able to transition off the pill and
you need to ovulate.
Right.
To get your eggs,
Exactly. So I actually have now been off birth control for a little over a month.
Okay.
And it's been interesting.
Okay.
Very interesting.
And so I just want to sort of explain a bit around birth control.
Sure.
And again, where, a lot of women out there don't, again, not their fault because we're not educated on it. But as you said, through sort of coming to working with someone like me or just doing your own education, you now realize what it does. And birth control is literally given to female to stop us getting pregnant, full stop. Okay. So what that obviously does is it shuts down ovulation because you cannot get pregnant unless you are ovulating. Okay. Now, when you're on birth control for sort of so many years and for a long period of time, what that does is it quite literally shuts your sort of natural hormone state down, okay? It suppresses all of your hormones. So actually, one of the worst parts of my journey was I got told by 3 doctors that I'd never have children because they basically, when I came off birth control, we obviously did my bloods, and you have your FSH and your LH, which is your luteinizing hormone and your follicle stimulating hormone. They're your 2 hormones basically that you need to help ovulate and push out the egg. Anyway, they did my bloods and I was basically 0.4, 0.7, which is so low, so unbelievably low. And to ovulate, you actually need to be like 4.5 and higher. So obviously I wasn't educated either, but from those blood tests, they basically told me you can't have kids.
Wow.
And, the trauma that I went through, I remember being with my partner at the time. I was 24. Yeah. And I remember like meeting him for a drink and just crying for hours in his arms because I still don't know if I like really want kids. I'm not in the right stage in my life, but to have that taken away from you and told that at such a young age is just so traumatic. And the pain and just like, what the hell, right? But I'm telling you, ladies, if you have a womb and you have a uterus and you have ovaries, you absolutely can get pregnant. And another thing, I guess, from the birth control as well is after you're on it for so long, and then doctors will tell you, come off when you want to conceive, come back to me when you want to have a baby. So they're on it for 10, 12 years, whatever it may be, go back to their doctor, come off it. And then what? They can't get pregnant. They're having struggles. So then what happens, then it's down IVF and infertility and lots of issues there. But actually, as you say, understanding that there is so much you can do with your diet and with your lifestyle to help you transition off birth control, rebalance your hormones, basically light them and start the fire again, then actually you might not have to go down those treatments that we now have, which are amazing in so many ways, but it's not always the option. Right. But the education is not there right now of actually the little things that you can do, right?
Exactly. I think that that's probably been one of the biggest learnings. So one is the nasty side effects of birth control and how much birth control actually can harm you. And I wish we were more educated when we were younger. The second time I got off birth control, it was literally because my birth control was causing ovarian cysts. To the point where I had grown cysts so large on my ovaries that they wanted to have them removed. But there was a risk there because they were so large that it would damage my ovaries. It ended up that they burst. Oh my gosh. And it was terrifying because they even said if they do burst, they could cause damage to your ovaries. And it's just crazy that something that is supposed to protect you and help you and aid in one functionality of your body can hurt you in so many other ways.
But yeah, also, did you know that birth control is a type 1 carcinogen? Like,
no clue.
It's insane what we're pumping our body with. It's insane. Right. And another thing that I actually watched a reel the other day, because social media, I think if you use it for the right reasons, it's so powerful. I learn something on there every day. I follow some absolute leading experts, in like unbelievable doctors, and I think it's like amazing, right? They share like all the top studies and X, Y, and Z. But there was one the other day, about how actually birth control changes like a chemical thing in your brain of your smell. So when females have been coming off the pill, they suddenly lose attraction to their partner or their husband.
Is that why I've been choosing the wrong men this whole time?
Me too. Yeah, we're out there.
Oh my gosh, that's very interesting.
Yeah, really interesting. And they genuinely like filmed like a couple of girls who said like, I came off the pill and I honestly just did not find I got the ick. They got the ick. They immediately got the ick. So yeah, I mean, birth control is actually nuts how like it made us so erratic and moody and I just felt like I was never in sync with myself. I honestly didn't know who I was, as deep as that really sounds. Felt like I had wool over my eyes the whole time, brain fog, lack of concentration. I remember being in the office just being like, I don't know, 1 minute crying, the next minute like dancing all over the place, like just an erratic ball of mess, really.
Yeah.
So mentally, the mental health side as well, that again, no one really speaks about when it comes to the pill is massive, right?
Yeah.
How have you been finding that or found that?
I mean, I think being on birth control almost masked a lot of those things.
So true.
I definitely see a difference of like who I am on birth control versus when I'm off. I think PCOS in general is a huge mental health trigger. And as I'm on this journey of healing both my body as well as my heart and my soul, I've learned what that looks like a bit more. I think with PCOS over time and birth control, maybe birth control is what led me to be this way, is that I had a fear of food. I think I almost developed like a mild eating disorder.
Oh, for sure.
Where
oh my gosh.
I was terrified of eating food. My sleep patterns were horrific.
Yeah.
I think that the birth control actually caused insomnia, and maybe it was a blend, like my hormone imbalance, but also combined with birth control. My anxiety has been nuts, especially over the last couple of months. But I think now that I am transitioning off, I'm definitely being really methodical about the things that I'm doing to keep my mental health in check, because I think that that's often what throws me off balance.
Yeah, absolutely. And I completely agree with you. Like, I think the mental side of things I almost neglected for so long, but actually I was struggling so much. Like, my eating was a mess, definitely eating disorders. Like I did sort of have stints of bulimia as well because, like I just couldn't lose the weight and I didn't understand what was going on with my body. And then the binging restricting, which I see, and 99% of my clients, that's what they're struggling with constantly, It's like, because again, you're told or you read, you can't eat this, you can't eat that, blah, 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 blah. So then you restrict. Also the weight thing, because, for women actually with PCOS, our BMR can be less than 40% with women without. Like, our metabolism's a shot to shit. I'm sorry, what people say, like, that's actually why. Yes, it's not impossible to lose weight, but we have to work a fuck ton harder.
Right.
And we I still to this day, I train like a bit of a nutcase, right? But I have to work hard really to keep in shape. Like, and it's, it's what I like to do. And like, I want to keep doing that, but sometimes it is a struggle,
And I think it's hard, right? Like I am a person that is I'm a woman that's transitioning off of birth control, but I'm also a woman with PCOS that is transitioning off. And so it makes it double as hard. And I have to be extra aware of the things that I'm doing and how they all kind of play into each other. Like months ago, I decided, okay, this is what I want to do. So I need to ramp up to that. So I started taking supplements like religiously. Yeah, great. Which in the past I'd been really like in and out of it, like a couple days a week. No, every morning I have a supplement routine. And those supplements are like magnesium and turmeric and
fantastic.
What else? B-complex.
Inositol,
vitamin D, zinc. And there's like an adrenal health supplement that has like ashwagandha for like mental focus. Yeah. So my supplement routine is like it's like level 10. Yeah. Love it. I also realized the power of sleep. Yeah. I think for so long.
Oh my God, I'm the same.
Abused sleep. I thought like, oh no, you're the Energizer Bunny. Like you can thrive on 6 hours. You got this. No, I think in the last 6 months, I've really learned the power of like a nice 7 to 9 hours every single night. And I think it's really helped. But I also think food, which has always been a struggle, I think part of the reason is because of that fear of eating the wrong things or eating too much. I've now learned that my metabolism is something that I need to fuel by eating. And eating the right things. And so I have breakfast.
Yeah, and your hormones. Also, that's insanely important, is hormones. Like, just a quick study for everyone out there. Intermittent fasting and fasting for women actually proven now is not good for women. Right. We should be having breakfast. And one of the studies that blows my mind with these numbers, so they took 2 calorie controlled groups of women, both on 1,800 calories. The only difference was one ate their biggest meal at breakfast. Okay. In 12 weeks, drum roll, it's quite nuts. Their insulin resistance reduced by 52%. Wow. Testosterone by 60%. 60, that's obscene. And 7 out of the 10 women in the breakfast group were ovulating by month 3, whereas only 1 was not. Wow. 1 out of 10, in the dinner group. You can't ignore those numbers. That's massive, So actually, for females, fasting really isn't great at all. It actually puts way more stress on our bodies. Our hormones need fuel. Right.
Yeah, and I definitely have seen a difference. I also recently, I used to always do coffee and then I'd have breakfast. Now I switched that where I have breakfast and then I have my coffee, because my coffee is more of like a ritualistic thing, which I think we worked on that together. Where I felt like I needed my coffee every morning, where now I realize I don't. Yeah. And 2, I have it after I have breakfast, so that
and decaf if you try to.
I'm still working on that.
Okay, you're still working on that. You just don't notice the difference.
Yeah.
Honestly, especially if you're having breakfast first, that should give you the fuel to give you, that's like your caffeine hit. Us as humans, right? We are not, we can function even better without caffeine, actually. It is a bit of a hormone disruptor and it does spike that cortisol. So just...
I gotta work on that.
Wean it slowly. Just, you know what I first did, I remember, is I just bought decaf, chucked out the caffeine from home. And, you know, yes, of course, sometimes once in a blue moon, if I'm out and they don't have decaf, yes, of course I will. So, but I am quite caffeine sensitive now because I think I cut it. And then, and you might notice that as well. Like, you'll suddenly realize when you actually come off it that when you have it, you're like, whoa.
Yeah. Or if I have multiple cups, like, I try to stick to one shot a day, like one espresso shot a day. And I try not to have any caffeine past 3 p.m. And I remember it was one day I did not do the right things where I did not have breakfast. I was like speaking at an event. I was running on like 3 cups of coffee, like caffeinated, little water. Like it was a messy day. And I felt it for 2 days.
Really?
The effects, like I was jittery, could not sleep. It was a mess. So I feel like my body's already like setting the tone to be a little intolerant past a certain level, but I'll get there.
You will get there. And like, you know, as I say, it is a marathon, not a sprint with all of this. You have to be kind to yourself. You can't expect results overnight. You know, I'd say people sort of ask me, how long did it take you to fully reverse PCOS? Years. I'm going to be honest. Like, if there was a quick fix in this world, you know, a lot of our problems would not be here, put it that way, right? Like, it does actually require sometimes a bit of commitment, a bit of consistency. I always say the 2 C's.
Right.
Which way it is. You know, like, you do have to stick to it, but it doesn't have to be overwhelming or hard, right?
Yeah.
That's the thing, the difference that people sometimes get, right? They think in their head they've got to be doing all the things at all the times, but it doesn't. If you do it 80-20, I'm actually going to get a tattoo saying 80-20. That's what I preach. 80% of the time, you know, you're nourishing your hormones and you're fueling your body in the right way. 20%, that's that cup of coffee. That's that Prosecco, you know, that's those Haribo, whatever it may be. Honestly, that's the winning combo.
Right. I think for me, why it's such a big priority now is obviously the family planning and me wanting to be a mom and me wanting to freeze my eggs. And that's why I'm transitioning off birth control. But I also have been working really hard to get back to who I am, both like from an emotional, mental level, but also from a physical level as well. Unfortunately, the effects of like going on birth control, coming off with my PCOS, like the weight gain, the body changes. I feel like I don't necessarily always recognize the body that I'm in. Yeah. And it's taken a lot of time. And I don't even want to accept this body all the way because I know it's not 100% where I should be. And that's why I'm working so hard now to get back to where I feel most comfortable, both, you know, mentally, emotionally, but also physically as well.
Yeah. I just love having you on here. We could literally sit here and chat for hours, couldn't we? Hours. But we're going to have to round it up. Okay, so just want to say thank you so much to Emaan for coming in. What is your Instagram handle? Where can people find you?
Yeah, on Instagram, I'm theycallme_Emaan.
Thank you for tuning in, and thank you to the Micro Studios for where we are sat in this lovely room recording. Take care and see you soon.